Get ready. Come on. Get ready. Hey. Get ready for Betty and Michelle, Phyllis and Stephanie. There's a new show called Good Grief, Good Gossip, Good God, called it G3. Education, celebration, transparency. There's no subject they won't tackle if it uplifts you and me. Good grief, good gossip, good God, G3.
Hi, this is Betty Baye, and welcome to the G3 gang. My girls, we're all here, and tonight we've got an interesting topic. But first, let me introduce you to the crew. We got Michelle Porter, wave Michelle. We've got Stephanie Lackey, wave Stephanie, and then we got the lovely Phyllis Clark. Hi, Phyllis. And they have on their pearls. And and I have on Black Lives Matter earrings. So we are going to talk about tonight. The subject is words. And someone said there's a reason why we only have one tongue, because the tongue can do an awful lot of damage. But we know that words do have power, and they have the power. They can destroy and they can create. The words can make us feel better or make us feel terrible. And when your mother used to say, watch your mouth, she knew what she was saying to keep you out of trouble. So tonight we're going to talk about the power of words. And we know that we live in a society where one word can get you shot, can get you killed, or one word can make a sister feel better in the bathroom at church where you say, girl, you look good. One word, just say good. And their whole attitudes change. So Black America has produced many wordsmiths over the years. There have been many, and we can start where we think about Frederick Douglass, we think about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. Don't even need a lot of words. But when we didn't have any guns as Black people, no way to defend ourselves, we had our words. So words is how we carried ourselves. And I can just start off saying, I remember when I moved to a new neighborhood, and I was the smallest one, and we didn't have a big family, and they wanted to fight me. All I had was my words. I knew I couldn't beat everybody, but I had the words. I could run you down with my mouth. So it's interesting that I grew up to be a wordsmith, to be a writer. So ladies, let's talk about words. I'd like to ask you, first of all, do you all remember a time when someone said something to you that devastated you and how you got through that? Why don't we start with you, Phyllis? Was there a word or words that someone said to you that really cut you to the quick?
Yes, absolutely. A little boy ran up to me. I was about 5 or 6, and he said, "Phyllis, you have a fat face." And then he changed the words around. He said, "No, I'm gonna make it right. Fat face Phyllis." And I looked at him, and I knew it was negative because of the way he was laughing. And let me just tell y'all, stuff like this can last for decades. And, I remember when I got into personal development work, I had to go back and think about the things that were keeping me from going forward, keeping me sitting on the sidelines, keeping me from making decisions about certain moves in my career. And what I found was I was still holding on to what that little boy said to me. And because I did not feel good about myself, because I didn't think anybody would want to look at me, thought I was ugly when they saw me and saw a round faced little 6-year-old girl. Well, guess what? I kept that at 10 years old, 15, 26, 30, 33, 42. Come on now. And so what I decided to do when I started studying in my PhD program, I wanted to understand the science behind why we operate that way. And so without getting into all of that, the one thing that I did for myself was I created my own words. So I did not have to linger and study and be fixated on words somebody else told me. I started to believe my own words and to write them and to create them and to study them and to uplift myself. And then I wanted to start making sure that I delivered these same things to other girls and other women that I came in contact with. And so that helped me to flip the script for myself and just to work in being better.
So we know that words have power to destroy.
Yes.
Stephanie, do you remember that someone said something to you that cut you to the quick? And how long? I mean, Phyllis said that she carried it for years. What about you, Stephanie?
So, oh my gosh, that's so relatable. So I have been 5'11", well, 6 foot since sixth grade. And so I remember, even before sixth grade, some little girl was really, really jealous of me, but I hadn't come into my own. I didn't know I was cute. I didn't know that guys were looking at me because I was tall. I didn't know. I was clueless to all of that because I was always into sports. So I could care less about all of that. But this girl who started with me in elementary school, junior high school, on to college, in our junior high school years would call me, well, even in grade school, she would call me slanky, lanky Stephanie. Stephanie is so tall and lanky. So because of that, I used to be that person that was slouched. So and everybody was shorter than me. So I constantly walked around slouching. And it affected me through high school and even into college until I had a mentor say, you know what I've noticed about you? Yeah, you have a great appearance. You can light up a room, but you really could brighten that room if you just put those shoulders back and sit up straight and not have your confidence show in your shoulders. Put those shoulders back and be proud of being tall. And then I explained the story to her, so it brought light to her, like, oh, I understand. But we're going to put that behind us. So I had someone who invested in me, who cared enough to say, you know what, you're tall, you're beautiful, you light up a room, that is your persona, own it. And so I've been owning it ever since, honey. So if you know me, I have no problem being the tallest person in the room. I have no problem sitting up straight. But yes, it did affect me for a while. And for me, the same as Phyllis, I did not want anyone, I know how it feels to have someone kind of scar you a little bit like that. So I never wanted another female to feel that way. So I'm an encourager. So if I'm around you, I'm going to drop the words of encouragement, something to uplift you. If you're down, I feel your spirit. So I will make you laugh. I will make you, not dwell on whatever you're going through. I try to make people feel good in the space that they're in. And when they leave my presence, they feel good about themselves, because I don't want them to ever feel like I did when I was called those names, slanky. What kind of word is that?
Well, Stephanie, lanky will not be anything that Michelle and I will be called in our lives,
Right.
But I'm saying, Michelle, did somebody traumatize you or, upset you or make you feel good with a word? Tell me about your experience with a word, what a word can say.
What a word can say. And I was sitting here thinking, and I guess I can't say one particular person has said something to me to make that I carried on, but, and I'm just being, as we've always done, being transparent. In the past, I've been the victim of an abusive relationship. And during that time, I do recall the person telling me that no one would ever want me.
Oh.
And I'm sure as females, just being told that by a male, you take that with you and thinking, it messes with your makes you feel insecure. Like no one, what's wrong with me? What can I do different? What made them want to abuse me? What was wrong with me? So after going to counseling and getting support from friends and family after that situation, that helped, in a whole lot of prayer and support, from my family, I was able to, rebuild myself and realize, okay, there was nothing wrong with me. It was the person who was doing the abusing. It wasn't me. There was nothing that I did to cause them to do those type of things. So my advice for anybody that's been in that type of situation, to know that it's not you. You can get out of those type of situations and find, love beyond those type of things, that you don't have to stay in abusive relationships. So that would be my example that I would give to somebody out there.
Well, but when you think about the power of words, I think about I remember my father always telling me that I was his boopy girl and that I was beautiful. And so I really thought that I was, you know what I'm saying? Because my daddy told me. But I often, when I think about words and the power of words, I have to think about James Baldwin. James Baldwin didn't need a weapon to destroy the hypocrisy of America. James Baldwin used his words effectively as a weapon. And when James Baldwin spoke, he had the ability to make people defensive and want to fight. He didn't have any gun. He didn't have anything. He just had the power of those words and the way he put them together in a sentence. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're getting ready to talk about, the holiday, July 4th, all of that. And I think about Frederick Douglass's words, what does your holiday have to do with us? You know what I'm saying? You celebrate. And what do enslaved people celebrate? And Martin Luther King, when Martin Luther King would speak, and there was this sort of eloquence, and he would talk about the words, about America, giving us a check that bounced essentially. You learn how to put them together in the sentence to make it effective. And I was reading something where they were showing how Winston Churchill, in one of his great speeches, they underline all of the power of the words, the individual words that we use. If we're giving a speech and you're trying to make a point, what you want to do is you want to connect with your audience. So when you connect, there's certain words, Kevin Cosby knows how to do that very well, and even in the title of the sermon, like, don't faint, stuff in the, keep going and don't faint. Words that give you encouragement. And I think that our African-American people need to be encouraged. When I see mothers in the supermarket cussing out little teeny children, I always think about the power of her words when the mama is calling you out of your name and what that does to you. You know what I'm saying? Over a length of time to be called those kinds of names. So we have been people of the word, because when we didn't have anything else but our words, we had our words and our music, we told our stories. So we need to think about, how do we get people to use words in a way that encourages rather than discourages people? How do we overcome this whole complex that Black people have about words, about colorism? You look at us on this screen, we are all different shades of Black. We look different, and people have made us sometimes feel ashamed. We can be high yellow, you're too Black, you're blue, whatever they call you. And if we just embrace it and say, yes, I'm Black, yes, I'm Black and I'm beautiful. And that's what Jesse Jackson did when he said, say it loud. He didn't say, James Brown said that, say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. But the words, it is powerful, powerful, powerful. And we really do need to try to use our words more effectively. But I just think that we can use words to pray, P-R-A-Y, or we can use words to pray, P-R-E-Y. We can use words to destroy somebody. And I'm saying some of us get real good at it, especially if you can't fight. You got to have your words. You can say something that maybe somebody won't give you a lick if you can talk your way out of it. So words become, just very significant. And I wanted to talk about this topic because I was thinking about the power of words right now, when basically African Americans are at a place that we haven't been in a very long time, when people are trying to strip of us our right to vote, of all of these things. I think about, Stacey Abrams and some of these prophetic and profound women and the words they use in Congress. But I think we have to take a break. I don't see Stephanie giving me the sign, but I think we have to take a break.
I was hanging on your every word. So we're going to take a break, and we will be back after these important messages.
Talk about words.
Hi, my name is Dr. Crystal Narcisse. I practice internal medicine and pediatrics with Norton Healthcare, and I'm also the co-director for community outreach. We're here today to debunk a few things about women's health.
Hello, my name is Lucretia Sewell, and I'm a women's health nurse practitioner. I'm here along with Dr. Narcisse today. So we have a jar here that we're going to get started with to talk about some of the myths that are out there. This myth is bras cause breast cancer. There is no scientific evidence that bras can actually cause breast cancer. I know there was a study or a book that came out that supported that, but no actual scientific evidence that bras cause breast cancer.
My provider doesn't want to know about my personal life. That is not true. I have a lot of patients who come to see me for their blood pressure, for their diabetes, and they have things that are going on. Sometimes they're depressed or anxious, and that actually affects your health. So I do want to know about your personal life.
This myth says period pain is normal, even if it is debilitating. That is not actually true. There could be underlying conditions such as endometriosis that may need to be explored, or just other conditions such as ovarian cyst, or just other conditions that could be causing this to occur. So debilitating pain with your periods is not actually normal. You definitely want to talk to your provider and be evaluated.
Routine checkups are unnecessary. Totally not true. I'm a firm believer in getting your physical every year. A lot of times I will find something that a patient doesn't even know that they have. A lot of times if you can have high blood pressure and not know that you have it, or have diabetes and not know that you have it. So it's always good to see your doctor once a year.
This myth is, if I don't have symptoms, I don't have an STD. That is absolutely false. You can totally have an STD and be asymptomatic, or without symptoms. So it is very important that you get screened routinely, especially if you're 25 and under, or you're engaging in high-risk sexual activity.
As women, we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves as well as our families. There are a lot of people out there who don't have a primary care provider. It's very important that you have one, and to develop a good relationship with that primary care provider.
You also want to ensure that you have a specialist that can, such as a women's health nurse practitioner or OBGYN, or just a healthcare provider that specializes in your needs.
Hi, and we're back. And I think I said a mouthful of words, and I think my sisters have something to say. Miss Phyllis, what was your commentary on my commentary? Or your commentary?
Yes, I just appreciate your sharing all of that. And when you think about where words are where they come from within us, it just made me think about our core values. So even before you utter any statements or any words, you have to have already thought about those things, right? And then that comes from your heart. And then that comes from, where you see yourself. So a lot of us are trying to live out these self-limiting beliefs. And because we are upset with whoever we are not, or whatever is going on, the turmoil that might reside inside of us, that gets played out in what we say and how we treat people and how we interact with other people. And we see that in our kids and stuff all the time. So I just want us to start to focus more on what our belief systems are as a collective, as an individual, and what you live on. What's your standard? What's your expectation? What is your word, that you want to grow and live by? And that can affect what comes out of your mouth. Same thing.
That's right.
We got to teach them. Stephanie, you had
it.
Yeah, absolutely. How powerful. Thank you, Phyllis. Our words are, very unique, and they quickly take root in our children, right? So I agree with you. We have to set a standard for, especially starting with our young people, boys and girls. We have to just plant those seeds, fertilize them with just positive words. My granddaughter, she's turning 4 next week, going on 24. But Andrea knows she's pretty because all her grandparents, we instill in her, and Michelle's smiling with a big smile because she's got a beautiful granddaughter, same age. Oh, she's a pretty girl. I mean, she doesn't know anything else. She knows. She walks into daycare, head held high. She knows it, but we instill that in her, along with a lot of other discipline as well. But one thing that Betty talked about is, the negative words and the things that, when someone is trying to instill in you negativity, Michelle's experience, Phyllis, your experience, my experience. One thing that I do know, and I've learned in my adult life, is that when someone's like that, like Michelle said, it is so not about you. And that's what I mentor into my young girls. It's not about you. It's something within them, some insecurity within them. It could be a plethora of things. It could be jealousy. It could be maybe they were abused when they were young. It's just so many different things. So if you learn how to not take it personally and pray for that person, the Bible says, pray for your enemies. Pray for that person and pray and start instilling back into them if you can. You want to make sure you're safe, but words.
I love that. Pray for them, because sometimes I'm not prepared to pray. I'm prepared to do something else. Very ugly.
I know, and it comes with maturity. And I'm not all the way arrived yet either, but I do know that just for me, when I've learned in I said adult life now, I had another life, but I've just learned as I've gotten older not to allow that negativity into my spirit, right? If you are having a bad day and you feel like you need to lash out and say something negative to me, God bless you. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent from one another. Amen. And then I'm going on. And then hopefully we can reconnect later and find out what the root of the issue is, if you are a close friend of mine or a close family member. So I think that's important to note. It's not you. It's something within them.
Well, I would say there's something else too. And one of those things is that you can't use the same words with everybody. I mean, I know lots of friends, and I don't talk to all of my friends the same way. I mean, because you have to know your friends. I've got friends who are very sensitive, so I'm conscious of what I say. Other friends you can cut loose with. So I think that comes with maturity too, that there is not a universal kind of thing. And you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to overtalk everybody, but you know how that is that some people you can, be down and say certain things, and other people, that you will hurt their feelings. And I try to be conscious of, who I'm talking to. That's the other thing. You need to be conscious of who you're talking to. There's a way that I talk to people who are older than me. Some people around the church, they call me Miss Betty. I feel like I'm young, but I recognize that I do appreciate that they recognize that I'm an elder, and they give me, what I'm saying? They don't talk to me the way they talk to their girlfriends necessarily. And I don't talk to them the way I would talk to some of my closest friends. Michelle, do you resonate with that?
I do. And I was sitting here thinking, like, ditto to everything that you all said. You were talking about your one word. My one word is peace. At 50, if it's bringing me drama or messing with my peace, I don't want any parts of it. And I'm quick to go stage left and I'm out. Like, I don't care if it could have been a lifelong friend. If you're drama messy, I'm just gone. I just have no desire to do anything that's messing up my peace at this stage in my life. Stephanie was talking about my grandbaby. I'm the same way. Riley hears it every day. You're a pretty girl. You're smart. Because I want her to know that if she doesn't hear from anybody else, she's hearing it from us here. I tell her all the time, all the little girls know, legs closed, options open. I want them to understand. I'm so sick because these young girls now, they want to think with their body, and they gotta, and that's what sells. No, use your mind and be smart and get educated and use those skills to, to advance yourself in the world. And the same with my young son, Aiden. As you all know, our young Black boys are just there's a lot going on in our world. So I'm constantly instilling in him just how smart he is, how handsome he is, that he can be anything that he wants to be. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because if you want to do it, we're going to make sure that it happens. So for me, like I said, I can say ditto to everything that you all have said. And like Stephanie said, it's, if somebody is negative, it's let them go on. It's let them stay in that negative space. It's not you. Don't let their negativity pour into you. Continue to be that positive light that you are. Miss Betty, you're right. You can't talk to everybody the same. I have different friends, and you have to talk to different friends. Like I have one friend that I know we can be blunt with each other. You might not like what they say. It might sting a little bit, but the next day we out, having dinner, drinks, and keeping it moving. Whereas another girlfriend, you got to kind of take baby steps with how you say, because their feelings are hurt. They don't know how to take the constructive criticism as well as others. So ditto to everything that you all said.
Well, I would say that probably in the era of social media, you really have to watch your language and watch your words. I think Wendy Williams was talking about this the other day. She was talking about, how people judge you by the words you use, by how you sound. And now these, some young people, they're putting stuff on social media, then they go for a job Now, they were 13 when they said it, but here's somebody coming back and they're 20 something trying to get a job. It's still there. Wendy Williams was saying to a woman even who was saying, the words that you don't use. This young woman's daughter wants to get tattoos. And Wendy was saying, look, there's a time and a place for everything, but you don't know how she's going to be judged down the line when they see her with the tattoo. So before she even gets a word out, there's somebody coming to judge her. So don't you all think that in this era of social media, you even have to pay more attention to the words you use because of the power of those words to boomerang back on you. You make some racist comment when you were 15 years old. Now you sitting up there in Congress. You did blackface, when you were a teenager, and now you trying to be something else. And that blackface thing comes up, or, something that you said on the internet. What would you all say about that? Social media and words, the necessity to be even more careful.
I'll chime in on that one. I recruit. So my degrees in human resources, and I recruit for that. And I know Stephanie's can tap and Phyllis as well into the human resources part of that. We do go and look at your social media. Companies do, because what you do, even though it's still your personal business, what you do, but it's still a reflection of that company. And as you just said, a lot of stuff that people did many years ago are coming back to cause them to lose jobs or not even be considered for jobs. So my advice to everybody, whether young, old, whatever age you are, be very selective of what you put on social media, because it really can come back to haunt you with job searches or later on in life, where it can, like we've all seen, it can cause you to lose a very lucrative job for something that you post on social media. So I highly recommend be very careful about what you post on social media.
Yeah, I agree, ditto. And, a lot of candidates will say, well, that's my personal life. Why are you looking at that? Well, it speaks to your character. It speaks to your whole character. Like Michelle said, if you're going to represent my company, I need someone representing my company with my company's and actually reflect my mission statement. I don't want anyone working for my company who is, maybe has said something off color, didn't mean any harm back then, but yet you're still posting these things, or you're posing with, firearms or whatever it may be. I have to be very careful. I put my heart and soul into my business and my company. And, like all of us are entrepreneurs growing our company, we want people representing our organizations that represents our mission statement. And so it speaks to your character. You have got to be careful what you put out there, and just think about it before you post it. Just think about your words.
Yeah, I'm sure Phyllis sees it. Over there at Simmons College, where she is dealing with young people who are embarking on their careers. What about you, Phyllis?
Yeah, very much so. I'm always talking about words and the importance of the way you look on paper, and because that speaks volumes to people who are reading, even the way I text with students, and I know that's a whole nother language in terms of how people want to text with you and things like that, but you still need to keep it front and center. Like you know how to use good punctuation and grammar and so forth. And then the one thing that I do, I have 2 daughters, and one is headed to college and one to high school, and I actually celebrate their words. So that's another little technique that I use, because I want you to know, when I hear you using the word condone and you're 14, I'm about to celebrate you for that, or manipulative. I'm about to call that out. I want you to know that not every 14-year-old is possibly saying a word like that. And so that's
very true, Phyllis.
Let's help our kids understand. I like that space you're in right there. Continue using that, and so there are lots of little techniques and things we can use to kind of push our kids and to help them understand that, yeah, you're sitting in the right space with this. Keep doing that.
And that's a good point, because Aiden comes in here someday using words. I'm like, how do you even know that word? Because these kids know words I definitely wasn't using at his age. So that's a good point as far as
absolutely
good language.
And even our granddaughters. I mean, the other day, Andrea said, well, that's amazing. I'm like, how does she know? Well, first of all, congratulations and give me a high five, because you used the word amazing and you're only 3. It's like, how do you even know this? So they're sponges, right? So they pick up on everything we say, and they actually pick up on everything that we do. So they're watching everything. So, someone around her, it could have been anyone, used, some nice words, and she picked up on it and really gravitated towards it, and it's just nice to hear. But somewhere along the way, we want our children to continue that, right? But as we know it growing up, somewhere along the way, we lost that, and we gained it back in our adulthood. We want to keep celebrating those words.
Right.
I remember what stands out for me, Phyllis, you said on one of our shows about your brand, right? So our kids, they're creating their brand at these young ages, and they're growing up into these young women, like your high schooler and your college young lady. They're creating their brand. So, and they're creating their brand with their words. So, I just find that very fascinating. I do.
I think also it is a lovely thing to use big words, but nothing grates me more than someone that's trying to use big words and using them incorrectly. And it makes me crazy. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, now you should have fished around and found another word, because this is not the right word, and you are trying to be serious, and people think that you are just a fool. And I think I told you, a friend of mine took a woman out on a date, and he asked her, what did she want? And she said she wanted some hours de vie. So he was looking around for hours de vie, and he realized she was trying to say hors d'oeuvres. You know what I'm saying? So it's some things you need to practice, and get the pronunciation right. And I remember when I first got in journalism, I was writing a story and I put irregardless in there. I looked up and my editor was coming across the room. It was like a flash of light. She said, there's no such word as irregardless. It's a double negative. Everywhere where I lived, everybody said irregardless. It is regardless. You know what I'm saying? So we say orientate, orientate. There's some things, and I'm just standing there thinking, no, baby, no, don't do that. So I love the idea that they learn the big words early and then learn them in the proper context, because you can be given a dynamic speech, and when you are up there trying to use something that you cannot use, just go back on to the baby word. I do that now when I'm writing a story and I can't get the word out. I go back and say, well, let me go on and just say it this way, because this is the simplest way to say it. So I don't embarrass myself by having the word in the wrong place. And I'm sure we may have all done it, but it really is annoying.
You never a dull moment with you. That just reminded me of a story. I never remember a coworker had me doubled over because somebody, instead of saying Psalms, they were calling it Passums.
Passums.
23rd Passums. I'm like, Psalms, but
okay. That wasn't a church baby. That was a church baby.
Well, this has been a wonderful discussion. Do we have a good gossip for this evening? Who's doing the good gossip?
Yes, I have a good gossip, and it's 5 words. Let me tell you. Let's see here. Your words become your reality. It's as simple as that. And that comes from Proverbs 18:21. Your words become your reality. So I just want everybody to remember that, take that to heart, think about it, breathe on it, do whatever you got to do to understand that our words really do help shape and create the way in which we live.
Yes.
I love this show. I love it. And we have to represent Kevin Cosby, who every sermon drops in at least 2 or 3 big words, and you be like, oh, okay. And
I'm gonna go get my dictionary and or Google
and try to get the context of a sentence. But look, we got to get out of here. This is so much fun. But let me just say, where can we find you ladies if anybody wants to contact you? Michelle Porter, where are you at, darling?
You can find me on Facebook, Michelle Porter, or M3 Events by Michelle, and you can also find me on Instagram, same locations.
Stephanie Lackey, how can we find you, darling, with all your 8 jobs?
Well, you can find me on the agileentrepreneur.net, and I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I do tweet as well.
Oh, God bless you.
Stephanie Lackey.
Where can we find you, girl?
You can find me on Facebook under Phyllis Clark Consulting. You can find me on Instagram under I am Phyllis Clark. And where else? Simmons College. How about that? Simmons College, if you want to talk to me about higher ed, it's P. Clark at simmonscollegeky.edu for education. Send me an email. I'll take care of you.
And you can find me, Betty Baye, at bettybaye.com. I am on Facebook, and I do have a website, but everybody knows about my website. I do it sometimes. And every now and then I read tweets, and maybe I know how to tweet. But I'm on a tweet. Is that correct? Tweet. Anyway, we got to get out of here because I'm talking about words, and we are going to probably have some hours de vries after we finish this show.
Hours de vries.
I love you. Good night, G3 gang. We love you. Good grief, good gossip, good God. Good night.